The Air Force Falcons have not made a Mountain West title game since 2015, and they haven't even won one in the history of the Mountain West Conference, at least in terms of when the championship game was put in place. However, this is an Air Force team that has consistently, for the most part, sat towards the top in the upper echelon of the Mountain West Conference. They're just looking to break that barrier. They have a lot of overturn on offense, but this team has more than enough pieces to be able to break into a Mountain West title game. Will Air Force be able to do just that in 2023, or is this going to be a team that regresses after all that they lost? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm previewing and predicting all 133 FBS level college football teams this summer. Guys, it means I'm doing your favorite team, so hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded, but there are more ways than that for you guys to help me support my channel. Hey, you're doing one way right now by watching the video. You can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, my apologies, really anything else you guys are willing and able to do to help me support my channel. Supporting the channel has been tremendous this summer. We're almost halfway to 1,200 subscribers there. So please support me any way you can. Again, whatever you guys do means a lot. But enough about that. Enough promotion, self-advertising, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about the Air Force Falcons here in 2023. But we got to know how we do things around here first. We are going to go through a roster overview. Look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class. We will not see any of that today from the Air Force Falcons, though. It's mainly a lot of returners. And we will also see the 2023 Falcon football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So let's talk about the Air Force Falcons, our third and final military academy team we will be talking about on my channel this summer. Again, as I said in my intro, there's a lot of overturn on offense. You got to start with the quarterback position. Hazik Daniels, known as a pretty solid passer, but can use his legs really effectively as well within this Air Force triple option-ish system. They do like to throw the ball quite a bit. 83 pass attempts for Daniels at 836 yards, 7 touchdowns to only 2 picks last year, and was the team's third leading rusher with 695 yards and 8 scores on the ground. He has been a world-class player for the Air Force Falcons. You're going to be missing him big time. So who will be your starting quarterback this season? Will it be one of two guys, either Jensen Jones or Ben Britton? Britton threw 2 passes last year, completed one of them for an 80-yard touchdown bomb. Jones threw a pass last year that was not complete. And then when you want to take a look at rushing, well, Jones was the more effective runner, had 14 carries for 82 yards and a couple scores, while Britton only ran the ball 3 times last season. So really mix and match. Take your pick here. I think either of them are going to be a fine option at the quarterback position. I'm leaning the way of Jensen Jones, but again, I think it's a very close quarterback competition that will be very interesting to watch. When you take a look at the running back room, again, what Air Force is known for, well, you lose an absolute unit. You lose a dude in the running back room, and that is Brad Roberts. 1,728 yards, almost 350 carries for him last year, 17 touchdowns on the ground. One of the nation's leading rushers. You're going to lose him, and that is a big-time loss for this offense. And you're also going to lose guys like Emmanuel Michel and Omar Fata as well. Both of those guys had over 100 yards, and Michelle got in the end zone a handful of times for this team as well. However, again, it's going to be really hard, if not impossible, to replace Brad Roberts. You do have John Lee Eldridge, who does come back to this team in almost 100 carries, 99 to be exact, had 766 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. For those of you guys with quick math skills, that's 7.7 yards per carry. I think he's going to fit in really nicely at that number 1 position, but there are going to be a lot of other guys behind him. Jalen Johnson, Owen Burke, Jet Harris, and many others will be back there carrying the football for Air Force this year. But again, Air Force, one of the military academy teams that likes to throw it around. Well, your 2 leading receivers from last year are gone. David Cormier and Amari Terry only had 22 combined catches, but they went for almost 600 yards and 5 combined touchdowns. So who will be leading that attack this year? Well, it's going to be guys like Dane Kinnaman, Brandon Engel, and others that I did not list here. As far as the tight end room, Caleb Rios and James Bryant also come back as well. And when you want to talk about the offensive line, Everett Smalley will be gone, but Thor, I will mispronounce this last name, I apologize, Thor Paglialong, Ethan Jackman, and Adam Karras will all be coming back to this offensive line. Again, it's a lot of overturn on the offense, we'll see how some of these new pieces step up and play for the Falcon offense. Let's take a look at this defense. It's the bread and butter of this team, and it's got a lot of returning talent to this defense. You, of course, got to start out with the defensive line. Christopher Herrera, and I will mispronounce this name again. Again, I apologize profusely. Kalawaya Pescaya. That's what I'm going with. I know that's not right at all, but Herrera had 27 tackles, a sack and a half last year, and then Pescaya kind of a depth piece on the defensive line last year. So a lot of your leaders do come back. Peyton Zdroik will be coming back at 5.5 sacks. That was second on the team. 30 tackles made him good to be a top 10 tackler on the team last year. A lot of other pieces come back. Jaden, they're good. PJ Ramsey and many others who will be solid pieces on this defensive line. PJ Ramsey, kind of a defensive line linebacker combo type player. In the linebacking room, well, you do lose a pretty key piece here, and that's T.D. Blackman. Third on the team with 3.5 sacks last season. Was your second leading tackler, 68 tackles, so that's a big loss. And then Vince Sanford is also going to be gone, another top 5 tackler. He led the team with 6.5 sacks last season, so you are losing some key production off of the linebacking unit, but I think this team is going to fare off just fine. Jonathan Youngblood, Alec Mock, and Bo Richter are all going to be coming back to this linebacking unit. Mock was the team's third leading tackler last season. And then you got a couple of other guys back there that I think are going to step up and play really big minutes for the Air Force Falcons. When you take a look at the defensive back room, Michael Mack is going to be gone. Michael Mack, when I take a look here, 3 pass defended, 1 interception, 42 tackles, made him good for a top 10 tackler. You're also going to be losing CJ Boyd off there as well, a depth piece in the defensive back room. But other than that, pretty much everyone else comes back. Trey Taylor, Jaden Goodwin, Camby Goff, Ian Costingway, I believe he is on what I guess the college football term would be injured reserve right now, so we'll see what kind of role he has. Corey Collins and Jamari Bellamy all coming back to this team. All of them very solid pieces. Goff led the team with 3 interceptions and 9 passes defended last year. Taylor had 2 picks. Goodwin had 2 picks. A lot of talent coming back on this Air Force defense. Your head coach is Troy Calhoun. Offensive coordinator Mike Thiessen. Defensive coordinator, go back for a second, Brian Knorr. Almost forgot the name for a second. Now we'll take a look at the Air Force Falcons football schedule for 2023. Hey, any game at home is going to be underlined. Well, any game on the road will be in italics of the slanted text. Neutral site games are listed accordingly. Any game in green is a game I think the Falcons are easily going to be able to win. Any game in yellow is a game that's going to be a back and forth 50-50 type game, but I still think the Falcons pull it out, and red is a loss. I think you start out 2023. I think you start the year out with some pretty good and confident wins. One against an FCS level program and Robert Morris. I think that's going to be a fairly easy win for this program. And then I think you get another pretty solid, comfortable win on a neutral site in Houston against the Sam Houston Bearcats. This was a team that won an FCS title not too long ago. I believe it was the COVID year that they ended up doing so, and now they come over to the FBS ranks. And I think with the talent that's on this team, it's going to take some time for the coaching staff and for this team to adjust to the FBS level. Now, that in some way is what we thought about James Madison when they came over last year as well. So who knows? Sam Houston could surprise us, but entering Conference USA, there are some pretty good teams in that conference, and I think they're gonna have their struggles this season. Are the Bearcats? I think on that neutral site, Air Force going to be able to win that game. Utah State is a team this year that I'm just not super confident in. I like Blake Anderson as a head coach, and the program is not dry. They have some nice, solid returning pieces. But ever since that Mountain West title in 2021, they have just continued to lose guys that have performed in the big moments for them. And I think Air Force, again, 3 straight wins to start off the year. I think Utah State's going to have what it takes to be competitive, be a team that may surprise some people this year. Again, however, like I said, I'm not too confident in them. I think they have some solid pieces there, but I do think Air Force defense will be too much for that offense that, again, just lost even more talent from last season. So I think Utah State will come out on the losing end. And Air Force starts out with 3 straight wins, but then it gets tricky. You got to go on the road. It's a Friday game against San Jose State. And if you want to look for a team that may potentially emerge in the Mountain West Conference this season, San Jose State may very well end up being that team. This is a team that has a lot of nice pieces coming back. Siobhan Cordero, maybe besides Tailgate Green over there at Boise State, could be the best quarterback this conference has to offer. However, there is going to be a lot of overturn in the wide receiver room. Defense loses a lot of key pieces as well. But I think Siobhan Cordero is going to be good enough to win them some games. And I think this really is the first game on this schedule where Air Force is going to have some trouble keeping up on the offensive end with all that they lost. While some pieces may still be falling into place, I think Siobhan Cordero is going to make some plays against this Falcon defense, and San Jose State comes away with a win, giving the Falcons their first loss of 2023 in their second game of conference play. But not to fret, you do come back home and you get to play San Diego State. This is another very losable game here. San Diego State, known for their defense, I believe they lost 8 or 9 starters, though, off of that defense last season. So there is going to be a lot of new talent on that defense. I still think, however, it's going to be one of the best in the Mountain West Conference. But when I take a look at the offense, it really started to emerge last season. However, it's losing some pieces here. I think the Air Force defense is going to step up, slow down this offense. And this Air Force offense, I think, will learn from their mistakes against San Jose State and do enough to walk away with a win in that one. And then you get a much-needed bye week after 2 pretty tough games. You got to, or I should say, you stay at home to play the Wyoming Cowboys. Wyoming's going to be a competitive team this year, but again, there are some pieces gone off of that team that really could have helped them offensively. Again, I think this is going to be another defensive type game. Wyoming returns a lot on defense. However, I think Air Force defense just will be a little bit too much for the Wyoming attack to handle, and Air Force will pull away with a win in that one. On the road against Navy is a tricky one. Again, the military academies all play each other every single year. And this is the first time the Air Force will see one here in 2023. You got to go on the road to play Navy there in week 8, and I think that's going to be a win for you guys in the white and blue there with the Air Force Falcons. Again, Navy's a team that is improving. They're trying to deal with some injuries, trying to deal with some things there in summer camp, and what I assume will persist over into fall practice that might hinder Navy a little bit this year. I think it is an improving team in the American Athletic Conference, but they might be a year or two away from really emerging as a team that used to be pretty solid. So Navy, I think, just comes up short against the Air Force Falcons. But then you got a road game against Colorado State, and I think you dropped this one. Colorado State's defense was sneakily good last year. They held opponents, I believe, to under 20 points per game, if I'm getting that stat right. And that is a defense that returns some good talent. They return in what could be an All-American at wide receiver in Torrey Horton. Yeah, the quarterback play is going to have to improve, and they're dealing with some legal things with their running back room. But I think Colorado State can be a sneaky good team this year, and I think they bite the Air Force Falcons here and pick up what I think is going to be an upset win there at home. So Air Force suffers their second loss of 2023, but I believe they're going to bounce back on a neutral site in Denver against the Army Black Knights. I think this is going to be a very hard-hitting, competitive game. Both of these teams' bread and butter is defense. I think we're going to see a very defensive showdown. These teams are replacing some key pieces offensively as well. And while Navy has more coming back, I think the Air Force offense's ceiling is higher. I think their defense is just a little bit better. And I think having the slight home field advantage with the neutral site being in Denver will be enough for them to win that game. Hawaii is a team that I'm just not liking this year, much like last year. I think this is going to be another struggle year for the Rainbow Warriors. I think Air Force will win that one easily. You can't sleep on UNLV this year, though. That's a team I can easily see making a bowl game. You got a new offensive coordinator in there that I think is going to absolutely emerge with this offense. Now, you do lose some key pieces, but a lot comes back, including the quarterback, Doug Brumfield. Almost forgot the last name for a second. You do return a lot of pieces, some solid pieces defensively as well. UNLV is going to be no pushover for anyone this year, but I still think Air Force is going to be able to pull that one out, but I do see them losing the regular season finale against the Boise State Broncos. That is a Boise State team that I think is absolutely loaded offensively. You got a lot of good pieces defensively. You got the best quarterback in the entire conference in Tailgate Green, one of the best 1-2 punches in the running back room that the group of five, if not the nation, has to offer. Really good wide receiver room. Need I say more? I do think Air Force will drop that last game of the year. So I got a record of 9-3 here for Air Force. I definitely could easily see 8-4. Again, there are a lot of games that I think Air Force just squeaks out. San Diego State, UNLV, Wyoming, Army, those sorts of things. So this team definitely could do a lot worse than I'm thinking. But I think with a lot that comes back on this defense, Air Force will have another solid year in the Mountain West. We'll see if it gets them to a conference title. That'll do it for my thoughts on the Falcons. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder.